For cheap gold, items and other boosts for Diablo 4, visit aoeah.com. Check out the link in the description, you get 3% off with the code ARIAT. Hello and welcome everybody. In this video, I show you my overpowered double swing PvE Barb build. As soon as wearing T4 gear, he can run very high dungeons. When I realized at some point during leveling that I can even mess with monsters that are 30 to 40 levels above me quite easy, I already knew he would go for level 100 dungeons later. With 2500 life without Warcry and 30,000 whiz, the endgame build is very tanky. This is also because of his special Paragon system, which I have worked out. For PvP, we will do several things different, we will care about that in another video. Let's start with the skill tree. In the basic skills, 1 point in lunging strike with enhancement. We'll use this attack until the end game, even though we won't always have it in the skill bar. In the core skills, the violent double swing is maximized. In the defensive skills, tactical rallying cry at 1, tactical iron skin at 5, plus challenging shout with the first enhancement. Also 3 each in imposing presence and martial vigor. Then comes power war cry at level 1 and 3 each in booming voice, guttural yell and swiftness. While leveling, the prolific fury is also nice to have. Continue with 3 points in pit fighter and fighter's steel grasp at level 1. In addition, 1 point in hamstring. We don't use an ultimate skill, but the passive skills duelist and invigorating fury with 3 points each. In the endgame, we also use concussion with 3 points. In the early game, you can save these points and put them into prolific fury, just as mentioned. In the beginning, it will be best to play with 2 swords for getting fury. Later we want to use 1 sword and 1 mace to stun enemies as often as possible. Finally, unbridled rage. As long as the resources are not enough yet, you can play walking arsenal or gushing wounds maybe. Overall, the skill tree looks like this. We have 7 active skills available, but can only put 6 into the bar. You can easily farm without the basic attack, but for boss fights you will then switch from steel grasp to lunging strike. I also like to leave out one of the shouts. In high dungeons I do without Warcry, and in lower ones I leave away the challenging shout. So I have both steel grasp and lunging strike, which is very strong. In some higher dungeons I even go without steel grasp. In narrow corridors and with few ranged fighters you do not necessarily need to pull the monsters. So you can drive different setups and also adjust the gear, but more about that later. For the fury generation several factors will play a role. Cost reduction and resource generation, as well as Paragon system and aspects, but also the expertise helps. In the Paragon system it looks like this. In the starting board the glyph Wrath, which is again important for resource generation and gives critical strike damage. With the magic nodes we want to take all those with maximum life on all boards. Depending on taste, you could also go for more armor instead. The second board is Warbringer, because here we have the nodes that give fury on kill and maximum fury, and also lots of maximum life. We use the glyph Exploit here. On the right is the third board, Flawless Technique. This is also a very important board. We have reduced damage from close enemies near to the glyph socket, and so we use Martial for the cooldowns and also for improving the magic nodes. Further we go down adding the Decimator board. Seething helps with the resource generation again. Here we take the life points and the 2 rare nodes next to the glyph. The fifth board is Carnage, and that's because we can do the same thing here as we did on the third board. we have close damage reduction in glyph range, which we boost up. This time with the glyph ambidextrous. So the glyph again gives 8.2% additional damage reduction from close enemies, which is almost as strong as the territorial glyph. On the Weapons Master board we want to play Territorial too, so we get maximum close damage reduction from the Paragon system. The board comes left to the second. In addition, we also want to have the node Hunter Killer. The last board goes to the top. On Bonebreaker, we want the Tenacity node to get a total of plus 14% maximum life, if having enough strength. So we also take as much life points as possible from the Paragon system. As you can see, I fit the requirements for all rare nodes. You will need strength and stats on items to reach that. Now let's see the aspects. For the defensive ones, unstoppable and damage reduction for Iron Skin is must-have. Besides, I like to use the obedient aspect to stack extra armor by attacking. Damage reduction on basic attacks is also very strong. In my setup for higher dungeons I play the aspect on my helmet. A very good utility aspect is Exploiter, to extend all your CC effects. The Weapons Master aspect is also very handy when using Steel Grasp a lot. There are a total of 4 useful ring aspects. The first 2 I play in the endgame, just like on my Hota Barb. Echoing Fury is important to charge the resources by shouts, but max rolls are rare, so save them for a good ring. Bold Chieftain lowers the cooldowns. At the beginning, when you still get out of Fury very often, you could use the aspect that gives resources on CC, so you can also charge up by grabbing some enemies with Steel Grasp. When you pull a crowd of monsters, you get full very fast. An aspect that you should save for PvP later: extra dodge chance plus fury generation when you get hit. If you find a good roll, don't throw it away. It is very rare to find, like all ring aspects. Finally, the offensive aspects. Most important are acceleration and limitless rage. They come onto the two-handed weapons. Edge Mastery put on the amulet. The other aspects are for one-handed weapons and gloves. You won't be able to use all of the aspects shown at the same time. In the end you will have to decide, or put together multiple setups like I did. Some unique items that we can use. Asia of Wrath is really good, because it has extra attack speed and freezes the enemy's unlucky hit. As long as you have not found it yet, Rameladni's Magnum Opus is really good. You benefit from all the extra fury in your Paragon system, and also it has resource generation on lucky hit. To run dungeons really fast, I like Ancient's Oath. The extra chains grab more monsters, which can increase the farming speed in many maps. But in higher dungeons I just prefer to use my damage axe, which also unlocks my requirements in the Paragon boards. Then there is Temerity. These pens are nice for extra barrier generation on potion use, but then you give up some strong affixes and also one defensive aspect. I actually don't use it, but it is just nice to have one in the sideboard. Now for the stats we want on the items. Ideal on helmet are maximum fury, cooldown reduction, maximum life and total armor. On the armor I would prefer damage reduction plus damage reduction from close enemies together with maximum life and total armor. I still have to get something better. The gloves I have are pretty cool, plus 4 skill, IAS and crit chance of course, and since I have some effects like stunts and freeze on lucky hits, the increased lucky hit chance is also quite fine. For leg protection I wear pants with damage reduction, life and dodge chance. Armor wouldn't be wrong either. Important on the shoes, cost reduction and running speed. Besides, it's good to have plus 3 on evade here. Dodge chance is especially important in PvP, but also when running dungeons it is not bad. On the amulet we like to have cost and cooldown reduction, as well as movement speed. On the rings we want resource generation, and one should also have maximum fury. Critical strike chance and damage affixes are welcome, and at least one of the rings can also have maximum life. On the two-handed weapons we want to have damage affixes, strength and all stats. This also helps immensely with the Paragon system. The ideal damage affixes will change with Season 2, you should go for more close and core damage, instead of vulnerable and critical strike damage maybe. For the two-handed weapons, the DPS are not so important. The one-handed weapons on the other hand should have as much DPS as possible. As already mentioned, we end up playing sword and mace, so we use the stuns from the skill tree and also the fury generation from the expertise. I use the current setup to run level 100 nightmare dungeons. My build has 25k life points, 37% critical strike chance, as well as increased lucky hit chance. The damage affixes are okay too, we won't have to worry about damage anyway. The defensive stats are very stable. The damage reduction from the Paragon system is clearly visible here, but also 21% dodge chance is not bad at all. Here you can see my sideboard. There I have Ancient's Wrath for example, and in addition I then play the Weapon Master aspect. A few words about the gameplay. It's important to know that the most damage comes out when Fury is full. Thanks to the aspect, we fill up Fury by using the shouts, and on the other hand by hitting as many monsters as possible at the same time, and ideally directly killing them. As long as there are enough monsters, you won't have too many problems, but on single monsters you get empty fast. That's why we need our basic attack in boss fights. Within the dungeons, carry single monsters to the next group or just ignore them. In the early game it helps to play the ring aspect with resources on CC to be able to recharge quickly by using Steel Grasp. But as soon as you have reached level 60 plus, you can already orientate to the endgame setting. In the Paragon system however, you should first activate the glyphs Wrath and Ceasing to get the resource budget running. Here you can see the Paragon system from my low build. When playing safe and responsible, T100 dungeons are also easy going. In between, wait for cooldowns, don't stay on one and the same spot for too long, and make intelligent use of Iron Skin. In high dungeons, I currently prefer the setting leaving away Warcry, so I have Chains and Lunging Strike. But I have also completed such dungeons with no chains or with no basic attack. Each setup is a little bit different in gameplay, so the character even brings some variety. Soon comes the PvP guide. I say goodbye at this point, take care and may the loot be with you.
Ja, okay, die.
Follow me. Thanks. I'll be seeing you.